They say love can heal you, but nobody tells you that sometimes love can destroy you too. My name is Maya, and this is the story of how I survived 4 betrayals, 2 years of pain, and one moment that almost ended everything. But it's also the story of how I found myself again. Let me take you back to where it all started. I met him at a coffee shop on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. His name was Ryan, and he had this smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. We talked for 3 hours that day. About music, about dreams, about all the places we wanted to see someday. I fell fast. Maybe too fast. Within a month we were dating. Within 3 months I was telling my friends he might be the one. He said all the right things. He made me laugh. He made me feel special. I should have known it was too good to be true. The first time he cheated was 6 months into our relationship. I found messages on his phone while he was in the shower. Flirty texts with a girl from his gym. Plans to meet up. Heart emojis that should have been saved for me. When I confronted him, he cried. Actually cried. He said it was a mistake, that nothing physical happened, that he got caught up in the attention. He promised it would never happen again. I wanted to believe him so badly that I ignored every alarm bell going off in my head. So I stayed. Things were good for a while after that. Really good. He brought me flowers every week. He took me on dates. He told me he loved me more than anyone he'd ever met. I thought we'd moved past it. I thought we were stronger now. I was wrong. The second time happened 8 months later. This time it was a coworker. And this time, it wasn't just messages. He'd kissed her at a work party. Someone who knew us both told me because they felt bad for me. I confronted him again. Again, he cried. Again, he begged. He said the kiss meant nothing, that he was drunk, that he loved only me. My friends told me to leave. My sister practically screamed at me to walk away. But I didn't listen. I convinced myself that people make mistakes, that relationships take work, that if I just loved him enough, he'd stop hurting me. Looking back, I know how stupid that sounds. But when you're in it, when you're drowning in it, you don't think clearly. You just keep hoping things will get better. The third time broke something inside me that I didn't know could break. It was our 1-year anniversary. He'd planned this whole special dinner, candles, fancy restaurant, the works. I wore a new dress. I felt beautiful that night. But he kept checking his phone, over and over, smiling at the screen when he thought I wasn't looking. After dinner, I asked to see his phone, just a feeling in my gut that something was wrong. He refused at first, got defensive, started accusing me of not trusting him, of ruining a perfect night. But I pushed, and finally he handed it over. There were photos, videos, messages so detailed and graphic that I felt sick reading them, with someone he'd been seeing for 2 months. 2 whole months while telling me he loved me every single day. I left the restaurant crying so hard I could barely see to drive. He followed me to my car, grabbing my arm, trying to explain. But what explanation could there possibly be? This time was different. This time I told him we were done. But 3 days later, he showed up at my door with letters he'd written. Pages and pages of apologies. Promises that he'd go to therapy, that he'd figure out why he kept doing this, that he couldn't lose me. And like an idiot, I took him back. My friends stopped talking to me as much. They were tired of watching me hurt myself. My sister told me she couldn't keep listening to me cry about the same person who kept breaking my heart. I was alone in my choice to stay, and I knew it was wrong. But I was terrified of being without him. Terrified that maybe I was the problem. Maybe I wasn't pretty enough, smart enough, interesting enough to keep him faithful. For the next few months, I became someone I didn't recognize. I checked his phone constantly. I looked through his social media every night. I drove by his work to make sure his car was actually there. I became paranoid and jealous and exhausting to be around. I wasn't sleeping. Maybe 2 or 3 hours a night. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured him with someone else. My anxiety was so bad, I started having panic attacks at work. But I stayed, because leaving felt harder than staying. Then came the 4th time, the final time, the one that almost killed me. I found out through a mutual friend who couldn't keep quiet anymore. Ryan had been sleeping with his ex-girlfriend, the same ex he'd told me not to worry about. The same ex whose name I'd heard too many times but chose to ignore. They'd been together on and off for months, sometimes at her place, sometimes at his. Once, even in the bed we shared. That detail destroyed me. The bed we shared, where he held me, where he told me I was safe with him. When I confronted him this time, he didn't cry, he didn't beg. He just looked tired, like he'd been caught one too many times and didn't have the energy to perform anymore. He admitted everything, said he didn't know why he kept doing it, said maybe he just wasn't ready for a committed relationship, said maybe we should take a break. A break? After 2 years of lies, after 4 different betrayals, after I'd given him every piece of myself. I went home that night and completely fell apart. I cried until my body hurt, until my eyes were so swollen I couldn't open them properly, until my throat was raw from sobbing. I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. I was thin, exhausted, broken. I'd lost weight from the stress. My skin looked dull. My eyes looked dead. And in that moment, standing in my bathroom at 2 in the morning, I thought about ending it all. Not him, not the relationship, me, my life. I was so tired of hurting, so tired of feeling worthless, so tired of wondering what was wrong with me that I couldn't make him stay faithful. I sat on my bathroom floor and thought about how easy it would be to just stop existing, to stop feeling this pain that never seemed to end. But then my phone rang. It was my best friend, Sophie. She said she'd had a bad feeling and wanted to check on me. At 2 in the morning, she just knew something was wrong. I broke down and told her everything. About the cheating, about how I felt, about the dark thoughts in my head. She was at my door within 20 minutes. She held me while I cried. She didn't say I told you so, even though she had every right to. She just stayed with me. Didn't leave my side for 3 days straight. My family came too. My sister, who I thought was mad at me, showed up with my mom. They didn't lecture me, they just loved me. Reminded me that I was worth more than how he treated me. It was their love that saved my life that week, their presence that pulled me back from the edge. With their support, I finally ended things with Ryan for good. Blocked his number, blocked his social media. Told him if he ever contacted me again, I'd get a restraining order. But ending the relationship didn't end the pain. The nightmares started almost immediately. Dreams where I'd catch him cheating again. Dreams where I'd forgive him again. I'd wake up sweating, heart racing, having to remind myself it was over. I couldn't be alone. The silence was too loud. My thoughts were too dark. Sophie basically moved in with me for a month. She'd sleep on my couch just so I wouldn't be by myself at night. I stopped believing in love. Stopped believing in people. I told myself I'd never date again, never trust again, never let anyone get that close. For weeks, I was just numb, going through the motions. Work, home, sleep, repeat. I felt like a ghost in my own life. But then something shifted. The sadness started turning into anger, real, burning, red-hot anger. I hated him, hated every lie he told, hated how he made me question my worth, hated that he got to move on while I was stuck picking up the pieces. I hated that he probably wasn't losing sleep over what he'd done, that he was probably already with someone new while I was still having panic attacks. My therapist, who I'd started seeing after that dark night, told me that anger was actually progress, that it meant I was finally directing my pain outward instead of inward, that I was finally recognizing I deserved better. So I let myself be angry. I wrote letters I never sent, saying everything I wished I'd said to his face. I screamed into pillows. I went to the gym and ran until my legs gave out. And slowly, that anger started to heal me. It reminded me that what happened wasn't my fault, that I didn't deserve to be treated that way, that staying wasn't love, it was fear. The anger gave me power I hadn't felt in 2 years. It helped me let go of the fantasy that he'd change. It helped me stop making excuses for someone who never deserved them. Months passed. The anger started to fade too. Not all at once, but gradually, like a fire burning down to embers. I started doing things for myself again. I took a painting class I'd always wanted to try. I went on a trip with Sophie to the beach. I bought myself flowers every week, the same way he used to. I learned that I could take care of myself, that I didn't need someone else to make me feel whole. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee here and there. Testing the waters, learning to trust again, little by little. And then one day, about a year after we broke up, I saw him. I was at the grocery store, just picking up some things for dinner. And there he was, in the cereal aisle, looking at his phone. My heart started racing. I thought about turning around, avoiding him completely. But then I realized something. I wasn't scared. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even angry anymore. I felt nothing. He looked up and saw me, started to walk over, probably to say hi or explain or apologize again. But I just gave him a small nod and kept walking. Because I didn't need closure from him. I'd already found it within myself. That night, I sat on my couch and realized I'd actually done it. I'd survived, I'd healed, I'd become myself again. Maybe even a better version than before. The girl who almost gave up on life was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone who knew her worth, someone who understood that being alone was better than being with someone who didn't value her. I forgave Ryan. Not for him, but for me. Because holding on to that resentment was only hurting myself. But more importantly, I forgave myself. I forgave myself for staying too long. For ignoring the red flags, for believing the lies, for thinking I could love someone into being better. None of it was my fault. I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's not a straight line. Some days I still have moments where I remember something painful, where I wonder if I'll ever fully trust someone again. But those moments don't control me anymore. I've learned that healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about remembering it without letting it steal your peace. It's about knowing that someone else's choices don't define your value. It's about understanding that you can survive things you never thought you could. Now, when people ask me about that relationship, I don't get upset. I just tell them it taught me everything I needed to know about what I won't accept in my life. 4 times he cheated. 2 years I stayed. 1 moment I almost gave up. But I'm still here. I'm still standing. And I'm finally at peace. Not because I found someone new, or because he apologized, or because time magically fixed everything. But because I chose myself. Because I did the hard work. Because I refused to let his mistakes define my story. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I want you to know something. You are not stupid for staying. You are not weak for loving someone who hurt you. You are not broken beyond repair. You are human. And humans have this incredible ability to heal, even when it feels impossible. It won't be easy. There will be days where you take 10 steps back, where you question if leaving was the right choice, where you miss them so much it physically hurts. But I promise you, on the other side of that pain is freedom, is peace, is a version of yourself you'll be proud of. Don't give up. Not on life, not on love, and definitely not on yourself. Because you deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not someone who makes you wonder if you're enough. You are enough. You always were. And one day, you'll look back on this pain and realize it was the thing that led you to yourself. That's where real peace lives. Not in someone else choosing you, but in you choosing you. I found my peace, and I know you'll find yours too. Today, I wake up grateful. Grateful for the pain that taught me strength. Grateful for the betrayal that showed me my worth. Grateful for the darkness that helped me appreciate the light. Sometimes the worst chapters of our lives write the best versions of ourselves. My story didn't end with him. It began without him, and that makes all the difference.